Hello ladies and gentlemen, Sigvalgrim here and welcome to another video. Today we are going to be discussing the top 6 teams for league rates in 2021. Keep in mind a few things before I get into this. This thing is just my personal opinion. If you got a different one, make sure to leave it down in the comments. And this is made in order to help people build the right characters. Second thing, we'll only take into consideration the performance in raids. Some characters on the list will perform amazingly in raids but will suck at soul raids. As of Joker, excuse me. And another thing, I will take as a main criteria into consideration the damage they deal. As a second criteria, the versatility. Damage is more important because if a character is not versatile, it's fine because they mostly hit one fight anyway. And we'll only take into consideration how hard characters are to get, only as a way to split them apart if they are too close to each other in terms of performance. But with all being said, before I get into this video, subscribe to QWERTY, like channel in the description, channel in the pinned comment. The man didn't even want me to promote him, but I want you to check him out because it's a very underrated and quality channel. This man holds the record of the highest damage done in 6 pips in normal rates without using the beta club. But yeah, with all being said, links to his channel in the description and the pinned comment. All gameplay you'll see on the screen will be from him, and let's get into it. And leave a subscribe over there if you enjoy the content. So, coming in at number 6, we're going to begin this one with the Multiverse team. Multiverse team is going to be composed of Multiverse Armored Supergirl, being the damage dealer of the team, Multiverse the Flash, being the combo builder of the team, and Red Hood, being the support character of the team. Multiverse Armored Supergirl, Flash, and Red Hood will all of them be equipped with the All Blades. For Multiverse Armored Supergirl and Flash, it will be a matter of damage. For Red Hood, it would be a matter of lower cost super move, because he uses the super move in order to extend the duration of the fight. Multiverse, the Flash will be a great combo builder for Multiverse Armored Supergirl. Also, his passive, together with her special tree, getting the both of them to maximum critical attack chance and maximum critical attack damage, without them having to have anything in the build. And they're going to fight Captain Cold, and I know what you might think. You're saying that the biggest advantage of this team is having max crit chance and crit damage, but they're fighting Captain Cold. Captain Cold resists crit damage, yes, but that's why they're the best team at doing this, because Multiverse Armored Supergirl Special 1 is going to remove the crit resistance from Captain Cold, making you able to do crits against Captain Cold, and that's why they're going to be pretty much the best in slot team for the Captain Cold fight. And in terms of other fights, in theory they can fight other fights, but they almost never fight other fights because it's simply not going to be a linear experience for them, and they're simply not going to perform as good. Why don't it make it higher on this list? Where first of all, it's going to be a very hard team to play. In my opinion, it's literally the hardest team to play in just 2 mobile. So because of that, the damage overall between the players that are using this team is going to vary a lot. Second of all, they can only hit Captain Cold, and even when hitting Captain Cold, the amount of damage is not going to be huge. It's going to be usually at peak performance between 25 and 30 million damage. And as I said previously, for a huge percentage of the players using this, the 25 to 30 million damage will just be a dream because of the fact that it requires perfect gameplay and it's a hard fight. But with that being said, let's move on to the number 5. Coming in at number 5, we're going to have Silver Banshee team. This will be composed of Silver Banshee as the damage dealer, equipped with the All Blades. It's going to be composed of Power Girl being the support character with Entropy or whatever. She just needs to take a super move like a champ and not die. And as the combo builder, we have 3 options: Reverse Flash, Predator Batman, and Martian Manhunter. In this video, we're going to talk about Reverse Flash because he is the way to go for normal raids. And right now, we're talking about normal raids. And pretty much the best pick, as I said, is going to be Reverse Flash equipped with Firebox, and they're going to hit Dr. Fate. They can't really hit anywhere else, or at the very least, they'll not have a good time anywhere else, because the optimal gameplay for the Silver Banshee team is for Silver Banshee to tag in and do a special tree, and then stay in the fight for another special one. And while this can be 100% safely done against Dr. Fate, in other fights, you'll not be able to do this safely, so they can't really pull that off easily. The damage for them will vary between if they are played correctly, and they are not very hard to play. Like, once you get the hang of it, they're actually a pretty damn easy team to play. Not necessarily easy, don't get me wrong. They're not easy to play, but they're the most consistent ones to play. And once you master the gameplay, it will be a consistent gameplay overall. And usually they're going to perform between 35 to 43 million damage, and this does not necessarily depend on the gameplay, because as I said previously, the gameplay is going to be, once you get the hang of it, a pretty linear experience with very little variation. It's going to depend on the crits RNG you get on the special tree, because the special tree of Silver Banshee is going to be a huge instance of damage, goes all the way to the damage cap, that being 3 million, and takes quite a long time to set up to do. And that's why you'll be reliant on crits to deal your damage. If your special trees don't crits, then it's out of your control and you'll deal a few millions less. This score's higher than the Multiverse team, as I said previously, because it's going to offer a more linear experience. It's going to be a little bit easier to play, and at the same time, overall, on average, it scores higher amounts of damage. And also, it's a little bit easier to get and build it in the Multiverse team, though I didn't really keep this in mind too much about this one. I'll keep in mind about the next character that we'll talk about. But yeah, overall, a very solid team, and with all being said, it didn't make it higher on this list because it can only hit Dr. Fate, unfortunately. So even though variety doesn't matter that much, if you wanted to, or if you had to hit somewhere else with this team, you wouldn't have a good time. But with that being said, let's move on to number 4. Coming at number 4, we're going to have the Black Manta team. This is going to be composed of Black Manta as the damage dealer, with either Beta Club, Close, or the Oblates, depending where he hits. He's going to have Brainiac as a support character with whatever equipped on in terms of archetypes, doesn't really matter. And the support characters are going to be either Just League Flash if he hits anything else but Phase 4, or Ace Green Arrow if he hits Phase 4. But in this video, we're going to talk about Ace Green Arrow because that's usually where you see Manta, and that's where he has his best performance. So first of all, the damage can go all the way up to 40 million plus if he hits Phase 4 and you got a very well built Black Manta. As I said, he can hit literally any fight in the game with various results. Of course, it's not ideal to hit Captain Cold with him, for example, but he can do it, alright? He can do it. And he's going to be a great overall character, a very consistent damage, not as hard gameplay as other teams on this list, but he didn't score higher because that damage that he can do is going to vary a lot. Look, this is the only character in the list that's going to be a damage dealer. This is the only team in the list that's going to have a damage dealer that's a legendary chest exclusive character. So for the people who use this team, if you have a 6-star Black Manta, congratulations to you, you're a lucky man. But a lot of people use him at 3 stars, at 4 stars, at 5 stars. And that's why the damage is going to be very varied for them, and it takes a very long amount of time and a huge amount of luck, or $300 to get a 6-star Black Manta. And that's simply not going to be something that we can kind of expect from everybody. So that's why it made it to number 4, because it was kind of a tie between number 4 and number 3 that we're going to talk about later. But if you don't care at all about how hard this team is to build, then number 4 and number 3 are pretty much the same thing. But yeah, with that being said, let's move on to number 3. Now, coming in at number 3, we're going to have the King of Flansacoman team. You all know it, you all love it, most of you have him. If you don't have him, join the league and get him from the league store as soon as possible. He's going to be paired up with Dr. Fate and Shazam. He's going to run Tab, Claws, Firebox, Might Amulet, depending on the fight that he's fighting. Dr. Fate usually runs Stab, Shazam goes with whatever, or you can use instead of Shazam Classic Superman if you have to hit a sub-boss. And this is going to be, I think, alongside with the Silver Banshee team, by far the easiest team to build on this list. And he can literally hit everywhere. And he'll hit everywhere except for Phase 1, Dr. Fate and Scarecrow. Not because he can't hit in those fights, but because he's simply not needed when fighting those fights anymore. And he's usually going to find himself in Phase 3, and you'll find one King Pip scattered all around the raid from different persons. There needs to be one King on Captain Cold, one King on Gorilla Grodd, just for safe measure. And you'll see a lot of them in Phase 2. If you got Phase 2 duty, then I'm sorry for you, my dude. You're going to deal between 10 and 16 million damage. But if you're hitting Phase 3, you're going to deal between 35 and 42 million damage. And the only reason why he didn't make it higher than this is because it's simply not on par in terms of damage with the teams that we'll discuss further on. But it made it higher than Black Manta. Like, him and the Black Manta team literally are pretty much the same thing with different gameplay in normal raids, alright? They all deal kind of the same amount of damage on certain fights. Let's say Black Manta performs a little bit better in Phase 4 than King does. But pretty much they literally do the same thing. They are good everywhere. They can do decently even in Phase 2. And yeah, they're the same with a different skin, but the King made it above because it's going to be far easier to get. Black Manta team is going to be a little bit less risky with terrible gameplay on your part, but King team is going to be fine as well. But yeah, with that being said, let's move on to number 2. Coming in at number 2, we're going to have the League of Anarchy, and we'll talk about both of them. First of all, we got the Heartbreak Harley Quinn League of Anarchy, using all blades, having an Arkham Knight Batman with either Firebox, all blades, or Radiant, and anything Poison Ivy with Entropy. This team can hit everywhere except for Phase 4, Phase 2, and Scarecrow. The damage is going to be dependent on your luck with stuns, because Heartbreak Harley Quinn is going to deal some additional damage to stun targets. Quite a lot, actually. And Arkham Knight is going to have a 50-50% chance to actually stun a boss with his special too. So if you get lucky with that one, you're going to deal all the way up to 70 million. If you get unlucky, you can deal all the way down to 30 million, even if your League of Anarchy team is going to be well built. And while it pulls more damage by far than Black Manta, let's say, with good RNG, you can also get very bad RNG on this one. Next up, we got the Last of Joker variant. Last of Joker being the damage dealer, Entangling Poison Ivy being also a damage dealer, both of them running tab. And Just League Flash or Black Manta as support character, they only fit Phase 1 and Gorilla Grodd. So while they kind of lack in variety in terms of the amount of fights that they can hit, they're going to make it up for it in terms of damage. They deal huge amounts of damage against Gorilla Grodd, and they one-shot Phase 1 all the way to tier 8. And yeah, those are going to be the League of Anarchy teams, and I've put kind of both of them in one spot because they both kind of fill different niches, and you can't really have one of them, you can't really have both of them in the same raid, because Entangling Poison Ivy is a must-have character and it can only go with one team. If they were to stand alone in this list, I think the Heartbreak Harley Quinn might have made it 1 or 2 numbers lower because of the unreliability of the stuns, but Last of Joker would have held firm to his place because he's just so good at fighting Phase 1. But yeah, with that being said, let's move on to number 1. Okay, at number 1 we're going to have the Batman Ninja team with Beta Club. Look, if you don't want to take into consideration the Beta Club in this list, it's totally fine. I understand what your reasoning might be. So do yourself a favor and drop the Batman Ninja team right below Black Manta and King. That's going to be a pretty fitting place for it, and then up everything one spot. But the Beta Club is going to be something that exists, and the fact that it exists makes Batman Ninja team pretty much one-shot more than half of the tier 8 bosses. Like, this team was very good previously. It was versatile, it could hit pretty much everywhere except for Phase 4. They were not having a good time in Phase 2 either, but in theory they could hit there, though lackluster in terms of damage. But right now with the Beta Club, they are going to hit kind of everywhere except for Phase 2 and Phase 4, and kind of one-shot everything except for Phase 2 and Phase 4. So yet again, if you don't want to take into consideration Beta Club, then don't, and place them as I suggested. But with Beta Club, they are going to be something beyond everything else that's on this list. But yeah, with that being said, again, keep in mind the date of this video because stuff might change in the future. And thank you for watching. Make sure to check out QWERTY, links in the description and the pinned comment. You'll definitely enjoy this channel. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification to get notified for every single upload. Comment down below with your opinion on this list, if you agree with it, what changes you should swap, if you think that, let's say, the Just League team should have been the 6th place instead of a Multiverse team. Let me know down in comments, we can have a talk about it. With all that being said, I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye!